Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, along with Ellen DePlacido. Ellen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Okay. We said good morning for so long that,
I
these
know.
afternoon sessions are, I got to catch myself. Hey, the last few
Right.
times we talked about seed saving, didn't we? And,
Yes, we
and,
did.
and we talked about a lot of the science behind a successful seed planting, seed saving venture. Okay.
Hmm.
And the importance of knowing and understanding the whole pollination process for your fruit and vegetable garden. But today, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk about we're gonna give you some pointers on actually how do you harvest? How do you know which ones to harvest? When do you harvest? And how do you prepare those seeds for you know saving? And how do you store them over the winter? Okay,
Okay.
so
All right.
I'm gonna let Ellen pick up the ball here. Ellen.
Okay. First of all, we want to remind you to harvest mature seeds. That means that you might want to wait until the growing season is almost over or near its end. And second, if you're saving seeds from flowers, save the seeds once the flowers have faded or they're dry or have puffy tops on them. Um, Plants with pods, all right? Um, Harvest your seeds when the pods are brown and dry, and make sure also to harvest before the birds and other animals decide that they want to start eating them, because you could lose your seeds if you leave them in the pods on the plants too long.
Okay, so Ellen, can I ask you a couple questions, please?
Uh-huh.
When you
Uh-huh.
talk about harvesting seeds from mature fruit and vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
you know, say you're going to do it from a tomato. You're going to let that tomato hang on the vine for until it almost falls off. Are you going to let that pepper kind of wither up a little bit?
No,
Is
you want your fruit to be healthy. And that
okay.
way, yeah. So you want to leave you want to take the seeds from the beans and the peas and the onion and corn. Those should be mature and dry on the plant as much as possible. But then you would complete drying them on a screen in a well ventilated and dry area.
Okay.
But when you're harvesting seeds from tomatoes or peppers, you want to scoop those seeds from fleshy fruits and then put those seeds in a jar with a small amount of water, and then that mixture will kind of ferment after a couple of days, and good seeds will sink to the bottom, and then you spread those good seeds on a paper towel and let them dry. So you want your tomatoes and your peppers and that to be healthy and have a lot of flesh inside of them.
Okay. Okay. I
Okay.
understand. But
Okay.
you want to have allowed them time to mature
Oh, sure.
on the inside of that fruit.
Yeah.
I guess kind of
Mm-hmm.
that's where I was going a little bit. Make sure
Oh, okay.
that you give those vegetables, those fruits, time to ripen fully, so
Oh,
that
yeah.
the seeds on the inside are nice and mature. So you're going to get
Right.
nice, healthy seedlings next spring.
Right. Kind of like I said at the beginning, wait until that growing season is almost over. So that's when your tomatoes and your peppers would be nice and healthy and
Okay.
get your seeds. Now, how do we store these seeds? Because you want to save them for the next season. So you have to make sure that you store them so that they'll be viable. And so you want to maybe use a glass jar or a paper envelope to store them in and label them, because you don't want to get your seeds mixed up, which people do
Oh yeah.
sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And once you have those seeds and they're dry, you might want to put them in the freezer a couple days and kill off any germs that could be still on the seeds. And once they've been in the freezer, after you take them out, store them in the refrigerator where it's nice and cool, or some other cool and dry location. I stored some in I found that I really did have a nice, cool, dry location in my basement. And you probably want to use those seeds probably within 3 years. You don't want to let them um, hang around for more than 3 years, or they just might not germinate very well.
Okay. So that doesn't
Okay,
sound too difficult, does it?
it's really not. It's really not. I think the important thing is to remember when to harvest them. Don't you want to harvest from healthy plants, healthy fruit, and you want to make sure that your seeds are healthy and viable. when you start to
Okay,
save them.
good. And I've had very good luck. And not that I'm a seed saver, but I do save the seeds that I purchased one year. I saved them for
Oh,
a
sure.
couple of
Mhm.
years. And you're
Mhm.
right. I save them in my basement in a lock
Mhm.
in a container that latches down nice and tight. And
Oh,
and
okay.
I've had really good luck with that because
Mhm.
my basement is not heated either very much, a little bit, but
Mhm.
it stays nice and cool there. And where I keep them in that box, they stay nice and dry also. So, some final thoughts, right, on this whole
Right.
section,
You have
right?
some?
Well,
Yeah.
you wrote them out for me. Thank you, Ellen. Okay,
Ta-da!
yeah, keep in mind that your hybrids, plants, uh, do not breed true. So
Mhm.
don't save any seeds from those particular plants. You're not going to be happy with next year's crop. I mean,
Right.
if you purchase hybrid seeds, certainly you can save those.
Mhm.
That won't be any kind of a problem. And it's the same with GMOs. And we're
Mhm.
going to talk about that in the next session. We're going to talk about GMOs, how they're done, and a little bit of history there. They will breed true from year to year.
Mhm.
So if you
Mhm.
have a GMO plant or whatever in your garden that you'd like to save the seeds from, it's perfectly fine to do that.
Mhm.
But then we also have some wind and insect pollinated plants. Those plants that have the incomplete flowers, okay,
Right.
your zucchini and your summer squash and your melons and your pumpkins and some of your cucumbers, where there has to be some kind of a pollination vector carrying the pollen from the male plant, the male flower to the female flower. Keep in mind that that if you have two of the same species of that particular plant in the same garden, and if there is a pollination, if they're cross pollinated, okay, the seeds that come from those will not breed true.
Mhm.
So, got to keep that in mind. If you want to save seeds from pumpkins or melons or squash or whatever, you got to check on the genus and the species of what you have. And if you have the same species of two, you got to do something to keep them separated or even cover up the plants or cover up the
Right.
seeds or cover up the flowers, okay, so they don't get pollinated by the neighboring plant of the same
Mhm.
species. So keep that in mind.
Mhm.
Heirlooms,
Right.
perfectly fine,
Great.
okay, to,
Mhm.
to save seeds. They hardly ever exchange genetic material. They're
Mhm.
pretty solid, so
Right.
you can go ahead and do that. And some examples that you have written here are the brandywine tomatoes
Mhm. And
and
the black crim.
and the black
Mhm.
crim, um,
Right.
the Kentucky wonder beans,
Mhm.
and
And lemon cucumbers.
those
Yep.
lemon cucumbers that you love. Okay.
I know. I do.
Okay, so you know, I guess the trick is not to make this difficult. It's
Right.
pretty simple and straightforward. But start with some of the easier things to do, and you'll have good
Mhm.
luck. Okay,
Right.
very good.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you for
Okay.
listening, and we hope you're with us next time. Bye bye now.
Bye.